guys, and welcome to another kit review. Okay, so today we're having a look at a kit from RPM, and the kit number is 35065, and it is RPM's version of the Renault FT char cannon, meaning that it is a Renault FT that is mounting the 37mm gun, okay, rather than a Renault FT mounting the standard Hotchkiss, I believe it was a Hotchkiss machine gun, okay? And as you can see down here, it says light tank Renault FT with Berliet turret char cannon. Berliet turret, sorry, not turret, turret, was literally a bolted turret. And it could be flat-sided or it could be curved plates, okay? It replaced the earlier, much more labor-intensive round cast turret on the FT, okay? So that's what the Berliet turret is, just a bolted together turret. And char cannon, meaning it has the 37mm as against the char mitrailleuse, which had the machine gun. Okay, so this is the box art you see. As you can see, this is a Polish FT, and by the way, they were never called the FT-17. FT-17 appeared in literature after World War One. The FT is literally the production run in Renault's factory. Okay, all their vehicles and tanks were named F something, and this one just happened to be the FT. So that's its official name, is the Renault FT, not Renault FT-17, which lots of people call it, or the FT-18, which for some strange reason no one knows why they call it an FT-18 unless it was built in 1918, which the French never did anyway. Literally, these things were just called Renault FT. Okay, so there's your front box art. Let's have the rest of the look at the rest of the box. On the side, you'll see just the box art again without the background. The kit number. This is your usual no glue or paint included. It's in Polish, German, English, French, and Italian. Okay, on the other side, you have 4 photos of an actual Renault FT in a museum. Okay, they're a bit dark, so they're kind of reference photos, but not that great. Photo Etch, and also your decal sheet. Okay, so that's the box. All right, let's have a look inside. One big bag, instructions, decal sheet, everything's included, and that's all there is to it. Okay, and literally that's it. This one cost me around about $28 Australian, so fairly cheap. And in a second I'll open all this up and we'll have a look at the instructions and the decal sheet. Okay, so let's have a look at the instructions. So first up, Decals, Photo Etch, both of which were sticky taped to the actual instructions, so we'll have a look at those shortly. Now the instructions, unfortunately, are actually all in Polish. Okay, so if you're not Polish, like me, I'm not Polish, you might have gathered that one. It's going to be a challenge, so a little bit of Google Translate on this one, I think. Okay, so this here is literally your decal sheet and does explain which one belongs to where, so just follow the numbers. I believe this one here is a French tank. Okay, this is an American unit in 1918. This one here is a Polish unit, 1920, probably served in the Polish-Soviet War of the 1920s. Okay, overleaf, we've got some more. Overleaf, we have got, now there's one here which I can quite easily identify as a 1943 in France, German one. Okay, so these ones here, you'll have Polish Okay, French. That one could possibly even be a Russian one, because the Renault FT was used by numerous armies throughout the 1920s, and I believe even up to the 70s. 4 Renault FTs were found by US forces in Afghanistan in 2003. Okay, so she did serve quite a long time. Right, so let's carry on. So what we've got here is the sprue layout, and obviously this one here has a lot of crosses on it, so you're not going to use that. You do have an alternate one. Okay, so you have your tracks and your other main sprues. So literally, because it's all in Polish, it will have to, I'm definitely going to have to, and I would recommend definitely studying absolutely everything about this instructions and kit before you start. Okay, and then we start with the bogey wheels. Fairly simple, straightforward. We carry on construction. All right, so this is quite a small tank. It does have a lot of small fiddly parts to it, and it does look to be quite detailed. All right, so I do so far liking the details. All right, then you've got your dry sprocket going on the back, your large idler wheel on the front, and strangely enough, the idler wheel was actually laminated wood enclosed in a steel rim, keep the weight down. Okay, interesting design. And then we carry on to actually building the body of the tank, and it does have some basic interior details. Doesn't have a crew, unfortunately. Okay, now we carry on just putting the top onto the tank. So it is a multi-part hull, so again it will be fiddly, and again study the instructions and the parts, because like I said, it's all in Polish, so you really need to know where all this bit goes. Okay, this is the back of the tank. All right, they fitted these on so it make it easier for the tank to cross trenches. All right, and then overleaf, we've just got more parts, tools, etc. going onto the tank hull. Okay, fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Then the tracks are going on. That's an easy one. And then we have the turret. Okay, so literally it's bits and pieces. If you can see it right there, the turret is made up of separate plates, just like the real thing. Okay, so it will take some care to put that turret together. Otherwise, your plates are going to not fit properly, and it's going to look ugly. And then we have here, this is your photo etch, and this tells you exactly where all the photo etch goes. So you've got nameplates and bits and pieces and hinges going on to the body. So that's the majority of your photo etch, is hinges and fittings that are going on to the exhaust pipes, nameplates, etc. Okay, and then overleaf, you've just got more. These are more of your photo etch pieces going on, grills, etc. So this is really nicely detailed as far as photo etch is concerned. I do like that, but again, like I said, you'll have to study the instructions very carefully, because a lot of this is going on. As you can see, the photo etch part is after you've actually constructed the vehicle. So you're going to have a look-see and make your own notes in the instructions to show exactly when this photo etch is going to have to go on. Okay, so that is unusual. So the photo etch is completely different assembly instructions, so to speak, than the actual plastic parts. Okay, so that's the instructions. Let's have a look at the decals. Let's put that aside. I'll give you shots of this anyway. So there is a lot of, I don't know if you can see the reflections. There you go. There's a lot of white parts on this, and it may not show up very well in the photo. These names, all right. So strange enough, some of the tanks in use by Poland in the Polish-Soviet War, they may have been manned by French. They were certainly had French advisors with the Polish army, because France financially and politically backed Poland. Okay, so that's interesting. The register on these seems to be quite good, but you really won't be able to tell until you actually use them. So that's the Decals. And this is the Photo Etch. So I'll hold it up there so you can see it better. So there is a lot of Photo Etch in there. And yes, parts of it are deliberately being browned, so to speak. You've got nameplates, you've got grills, straps and hinges, etc. So this is quite an intense Photo Etch sheet. It's really nicely detailed, and it doesn't say who made it. It just says RPM FT17 on it. So I'll give you a nice close-up shot of that one too. All right, so you can have a look at the really nice details. But it is quite a detailed Photo Etch sheet, so I do like that. Okay, so that's the Photo Etch and the Decals and the instructions. And in a second, we'll have a look at the sprues and see how we go. Okay, so let's have a look at the sprues. And first up, we'll start with the turret. Okay, and you do get 2 sprues for the turret. And the white one is the one that you're actually going to be using in this kit, because it does have the separate bolted plates for the turret. Okay, so having a look, as I said, you'll have to read the instructions and be very careful, because there are no locating pins for this turret. So you just got loose plating, which will be very, very tricky thing to put together. It will be challenging, but at least you do have this part here, okay, and the bottom, right, and it does have flat sections, which will help you put this together. This other sprue is the sprue, where's the instructions? Here we go, just bear with me. Is that one. And most of this you do not use. This is your cast turret, okay? You do use 1 or 2 small parts from this sprue, but most of this is going to go into your spares box, unless of course you want to put the cast turret on, make it an early FT. All right, you do have that option if you want to go down that road. But let's put this one aside, because there's not much to see on this one. And let's have a look at the other one. Okay, so as I said, this is your bolted turret parts. It does have some very, let's see if I can get there, crisp bolts. Okay, so they will pick out really nicely with a wash, although that's going to be interesting trying to get that off without damaging it. The bolts themselves, I've never seen an FT in real life. They do stand out quite a bit from the surface, so check your video references, your online references. If you're lucky enough to live next to a museum that has one of these, check to see how far the bolts actually stick out. But there's very little flash that I can see. There are some indents there. I don't know if that's deliberate, but I suspect the indents could be just molding deficiencies. We'll have a look at that when I come to putting this beastie together. So that's the Berliet turret, okay? Next, we will have a look at, this is one of the more complex parts of the tank. These are your running wheels, your main idler at the front, and your drive sprocket, okay? Plus all your suspension parts, etc. So let's have a look. There is your drive sprocket, a great deal of detail, but this is a World War I tank, remember? Didn't have bolts all over the place. It was basically cast, riveted, and welded together in the factory. Some really nice bolt detail on here and on here. Let's have a look at, that's your front wheel. That's your front idler wheel. Okay, so as I said, the front idler wheels were actually wood, laminated wood pieces on a steel rim. Okay, so that should come out really nicely. There is a lot of little fiddly bits, some really nice detail on the wheels though. Oops, sorry, that went out of focus. Really nice bolt detail, it's very sharp. A little bit of cleanup required, but that's normal. But yes, there are lots of little wheels and things. So as I said before, and I keep saying it, read the instructions. They're all in Polish. And make sure you know what you're doing before you start gluing things together, because this will be an interesting challenge, especially getting things like those off. Okay, I do like the detail, but getting these off without breaking them or losing them, that's going to be an interesting challenge. Okay, so that is your drive system. Next, we will have a look at, and I forgot to mention, my apologies, you do actually get two of those, all right? They're exactly the same. So you do have your work cut out when it comes to putting in all these little wheels, okay? So yes, that's going to be an interesting challenge. Okay, so interesting loose piece. Looks like a bucket, but I'm not sure. I'll try not to lose that. Okay, so next one out is, and I'll move this camera up a bit because this is quite a big sprue. Oops, sorry guys. There we go. That should be better, hopefully. Yeah, that should be better. Okay, so as you can see, this is your body of the tank. You've got your top, you've got your bottom, and you've got your sides, all right? And various other fittings like hatches. So access for the two-man crew, literally, is by these front hatches here. The commander would stand here and operate the turret, and the driver would sit here. Okay, engine at the back. Okay, the Renault FT is considered the world's first tank because had all its armament in the turret, and it was a rotating turret. Engine at the back, crew compartment at the front. Okay, really nice detail there. Let's have a look at the sides. Really very fine bolt detail. Okay, I do like that. That will come out really nicely with a wash on it. There are some very intricate pieces to take off, but some really nice details. So I can't fault the details on this kit. All right, the bolt details, even on the bottom of the tank, are quite fine, quite nice. On the top, the molding is good. I have seen very little flash. Okay, it will be challenging to get some parts out, such as this, without breaking them. But again, take your time, read the instructions. Shouldn't have a problem. I do like that. The detail on this tank is really nice. All right, so there's only two more sprues to look at. The next one is this one, which is literally the sides of the tank which holds the wheels in. And again, it does have some really nice bolt detail on it. Have a look at that. That's beautiful, actually. Really nice bolt detail. Some very fiddly bits to take off. Okay. All right, these are nameplates, so you could use those instead of the Photo Etch. These are all parts to keep the wheels together inside. Okay. I think that was a bucket. This is obviously where the loose part came from, because that looks like a bucket handle to me. Looking on the other side, it's fairly plain because you won't see this side. This is the inside. Okay, but that's really nice detail on that, and no flash. And yes, there are some parts that will take care getting off, but nothing unusual about that one. And the last is this one, which are just connections, right? Bits and pieces. Some of them are quite fine, right? So these are part of your running gear again, all right? A little bit tricky because they're quite small, but take your time, take care. Shouldn't have a problem getting these bits and pieces off. Okay, and that literally is it, except for these. The important bit. These are the tracks. So this is standard Renault FT tracks, as you can see. Nicely molded, actually. Really nicely molded. This is quite a small tank. It is only a two-man tank. So the tracks are quite small. It will be interesting to see how they connect together, because I can see that being an issue, but we'll see. Okay, and that's it, guys. That is, in actual fact, RPM's Renault FT. Okay, looks like it's going to be an interesting challenge. There's a lot of small fiddly bits in it, but I do actually like the detail on this tank. The bolt detail is really, really sharp. Okay, like I said, I couldn't see much flash, and apart from that, yeah, it will be a challenge, seeing as the instructions are all in Polish, especially the painting and markings. That will be an interesting one, but I'm sure we'll get there. Anyway, that brings us to the end of another one. Thank you for watching. Thanks for your subscriptions and your comments and your likes. And as usual, until next time, guys, take it easy, stay well, and I'll see you later.